everyone, this is Darwell20 and welcome to episode 46 of FTB Revelations, where today we're going to get into integrated dynamics. Last episode we set the stage for what we want to do and establish some basic configuration, like things to get integrated dynamics working, right? And the goal of today is I'd like to try to use integrated dynamics, I think I can do this, to automate the creation of celestial crystal cluster production. Now, we've already got it so that it's automatically placing fluids in the world, which is great, right? So our next steps is basically to say, check if there's fluid in the world, and if there is, we want to place in the world a rock crystal of any kind, right? Any one of these dudes, and a single stardust, right? So I'm going to have a few rock crystals on hand. We'll probably want a chest of some kind to integrate with. Actually, you know what? That iron chest looks like a nice one. And that's my goal, right? And then I would also love it if we could keep an eye on this guy and detect when his stage hits level 4, which means he's fully grown, and then break him, wait for the fluid placer to automatically place a new fluid in the world, and then detect that that fluid is there, and then drop another stardust plus rock crystal. I think that would be cool. So let's play with integrated dynamics today and see what we can figure out. Now, this over here is working okay. So what I'm going to do is play with this down here and prepare for what's going to be. And that is playing with this whole integrated dynamics thing. And it should be an interesting mechanic, right? So let's try it out and let's see if we can't get this going. So what I'm going to use is, for now, just a bucket of water to simulate the whole setup, right? Or you know what, we could do Starlight, actually. Let's use a proper Starlight bucket, okay? And we'll get that ready. So let's talk about the mod Integrated Dynamics, right? It's a pretty cool mod. You need a logic programmer, but I recommend making the portable version because I don't know why you would ever want the block version. Having the portable version is basically how you start programming the Integrated Dynamics stuff to do what you want it to do. And integrated dynamics can be used to automate almost anything. However, it's complex because it's extremely powerful, and you can do almost any kind of reading and writing and modifying of blocks. But it's like one of the few mods that lets you really analyze everything about a block in the world or in the inventory or anything and read actual data about it and do complex operations on it. As a result, it's a little bit complicated. But my goal, as usual with this segment, is to show you guys how the mod works and hopefully get you to understand how to play with it and do cool things, because it's super powerful if you want to really automate some complex things. Like, our goal here is to do custom attribute activations to these crystals, right? Like, for now, we want to do that thing I described, but in a future episode, we're going to want to measure the size and the purity and the cutting and do things like drop it in a pool of water or of liquid starlight, or move it into a chest, or doing different things. So complicated is underselling it even. So let's get ready to come back in a minute and do that. All right, so let's take a look at what we can't figure out. So what else might I need from Integrated Dynamics to do this? Block reader, fluid reader, reads fluid tanks, reads block information, world reader. Yeah, I think we want a world reader for this bit. I think we're gonna figure it out. So let's put a world reader here. So what I'm gonna do is place some cabling and the world reader. Cool. Oh, that reads information about the world. Oh, that's not what I want. I might need a block reader then. Does this work on it? Let's try block reader. That seems cool. Has block. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay, cool. Nice, nice, nice. And if I put a liquid starlight bucket here, has block true. All right, good deal. Block liquid starlight. Beautiful. That's what I want to see. Awesome. Cool. So the block reader, this is how Integrated Dynamics reads information about the world. You place a block reader kind of facing a block space, so this one here, and you can see these are all the things that it can read about that block. So it can read things about whether or not a block exists, what dimension it's in, the XYZ coordinates, what block is there, if there's NBT on the tile entity, what biome it's in, the light level of it, that kind of stuff, right? And this thing updates pretty quickly. Right, you can see it's pretty much instant. And then we can connect this block reader up to other things to kind of do stuff. What I actually forgot to make was a screen, which isn't super necessary, but it's helpful to demonstrate how this works, right? So we want integrated dynamics display panel. That's what we want. Cool. Integrated dynamics display panel needs a couple static light panels. Okay. And the display panel, bada bing, bada boom, can just write information about the world. So, for example, if we wanted to see what block was in this space, we could do so by just doing this, right? And then we're also going to want a variable store here. And I don't know if we need the energy battery or not. I think by default it doesn't require energy, and I usually just put one there and it doesn't really need it, but we'll find out. So what we can do is take these things here called variable cards, and we can place one in the little spot that looks like is where it fits, and you'll see that it turns that blank variable card into a programmed variable card, and we can see information on this guy, right? So we can see that this variable card, aspect is block, type is block, part ID is 1, variable ID is 0. Basically what it's saying is we are reading information about this block right here, and you can see when I look at that and the Whale tooltip says ID 1 at the top. And I think there might be something in here that tells me what ID it is. I don't know. There's some other attributes we can change that are a little bit more in depth, but we'll worry about that later. So basically, if I want to display on my display panel here, we can place this variable card in here, and he should be outputting what this guy is. Okay? I would think. Liquid Starlight. So he's kind of working. Display panel. Isn't that right? Shouldn't that be doing its thing? I feel like that should be showing me that. One sec. It was giving me an X. What was up with that? Inactive. Be right back. Well, I got it to show the has block boolean, so that's cool. I should be able to get it to show like the x coordinate boolean, for example. 122. That's cool. Okay, why don't you want to show me Liquid Starlight? He might be trying to render it. That might be what he's trying to do. Yeah, I think he's trying to render it rather than give me a text output. But that's okay, because we could do a little bit of... I think it's trying to, like this. Hang on. If I place this in here, right? What he's trying to do... See, he's trying to draw it. Yep, so it's working. He's just trying to draw it in the world. Now, if I wanted to, instead of getting the drawing, what I could do is use my portable logic programmer. And what we could do is, let's see, I think there's something in here. There's lots of ways to manipulate this data, right? So what we can do is name, right? So if I take the variable card block and I want the name of the block, right, we do that. Okay, now for this thing to be able to interact with it, what we want to do is we're basically saying with this, take the name of the input from variable ID 1. This is variable ID 1, or yeah, you get it. No, from variable ID 0, and this is variable ID 1. So this variable needs to be in the variable store, and then when I put this here, he will say stone bricks. So instead of trying to draw it, he will give me the name. Haha, cool. Liquid Starlight. Beautiful. All right, so now we've got that. So what we want to do is detect whether or not there is Liquid Starlight in that block space. Okay, so what we're going to do, instead of what we've got here, is we're going to take you out and we're going to take you out. And you can clear these variables by just putting them in like that, and then boom, reset. What we want to do is check whether that is Liquid Starlight. So if I do type block, let's see. I don't know if I can do Liquid Starlight as a block. Can I do that? No, because he's not a block, really. And I can't get a block of Liquid Starlight. Like, I could do this and say, like, give me the oak wood planks block, but I really want Liquid Starlight. So we might actually need to compare the name. Yeah, let's do that. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and use this guy. We're going to say, give me the name of the block again. Okay. And that would be this guy to this guy. So there's your name. So this is the name of the block that's in that space, right? And now what I'm going to do is get a string, and we're going to say liquid starlight, okay? And then we're going to write that to a variable. And that is just a variable. That is literally just the words liquid starlight. And then finally, we're going to want to do equals, and we're going to say if the name of the block in that space is equal to liquid starlight. And that's going to emit a Boolean, which is true or false. Cool. So if I set this up correctly, putting this, this, and this in here, and putting this in here should be saying false for all blocks that I place in this space, except liquid starlight. How cool is that? And I'll even demonstrate it's not just checking for any liquid, right? Water doesn't work. Liquid starlight, true. Cool? How cool is that? All right, so now we have a way to detect if there's liquid starlight in that block space, okay? Awesome sauce. Okay, so next up, what we want to do is emit into that block space, and we probably don't want you under here, actually. Now, because we removed that reader, it's going to be like, hey, I don't see that thing that you had there a minute ago. What you doing, Direwolf? Basically is what it's complaining about. But I should be able to put that world reader, or block reader, right back here, right? Now, this guy's still super confused, but all we have to do is take this aspect card out of here and say, program him back to this block, and then put him back in here, and now he's happy again, right? And this should be working again. And we can prove that out by making this turn true, false, true, false, true, false. Cool. Loving it. Loving it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay. Okay. So next up we want to item exporter. And we're also going to need a item importer. Okay. Give me one of those. Item importer from a chest. Okay. I think I can make this work the way I want it to. I think. Item exporter, item importer, item interface. Attaches an item inventory to the network. Actually, I might just need an interface here. Yeah, I think the interface will be fine. Yes, I think that's good. Okay, so what we want is a world item exporter. Okay, place item entities. That is an integer, so that's probably the number of item entities. Specific item, a list of items. Place the given items into the world. Okay, so let's program this list. So I'm going to wing this a little bit right after I take a nap. But I think I know how to do this. This might be a little bit tricky because we're putting 2 items into the world, but I'm hoping I can figure out how this list thing works. Okay, so what we're going to want is an item. We want U as a variable, okay, Stardust. And then we want rock crystal as a variable. Okay, and then we're going to want a list variable. Look at that, block long item string double item. Cool. Item 1 is Stardust, or item 0 is Stardust, item 1 is rock crystal. So if we put that into a list, we should have, sweet. Now, if you want to see what this all looks like, I think I can put these in here. If I put this here, variable card, list. Really? Oh, I see. Okay, hold on. Never mind. That's cool. Actually, I don't need these guys. I can clear this out, and I can clear this out. I don't need them as variable cards. I got it. So what we actually want is a list of item for rock crystal and Stardust. right? And then write this list card. Cool. Now if we put you in here, rock crystal and stardust. Neat. So we have a list aspect of that. Cool. So now if I put these guys in here with you guys, and we tell you to place item entities, and do that. Oh, that's cool. That totally worked. That totally worked. The only thing it did is it spit out all the stardust. Okay. So what we're going to want is... I think we want place item entities as an integer 1. Let's try that out. Hey. You're supposed to go in there, integer. Oh, that's cool. That's right. That's how it places the item. But I thought I wanted you place the given amount of items into the world. Integer value 1. This should fit in here. Is it because this is in here? No, it is. Yeah, that's not what we want. So I think I can change the if we hit the plus in here. Item transfer rate. Can I make you 1? Check stack size, check damage, check NBT, check blacklist. Empty is wildcard, craft. Okay, that looks cool. So now if I put you in here again, are you going to transfer 1? All right, 1 at a time. Okay, cool. Well, that's neat. We're getting there. So now... what I'd like to do is exact amount. True. I'm not entirely sure what this attribute does, but we'll find out if that helps. You're still putting more than 1 in the world. I want only 1 at a time. What's funny is he's only putting 1 rock crystal in the world at a time. And when I pick one up, he puts another one? Or no, he's only putting that 1. Probably because he's checking item NBT and metadata. Dispense. Check stack size. We might want to do that. True. Check damage. False. Check MBT. False. There you go. Yeah, because I said check stack size, it's not extracting it at all. Yeah, it's kind of not what I wanted. All right, so I've kind of got an idea here. So first off, there's 2 problems to solve with this current setup. One, I only want to drop 1 item at a time. That's kind of trickier than I think with the way that I want to use list cards. There's a couple ways to solve this problem that we're trying to create, and I think I've got that one sorted. Basically, what I'm going to do is keep this chest stocked with only 1 of each of these, and only restock him when the time comes, right? So that should be fine. The other thing we need to do is only let this run when there's liquid starlight in the spot. And I think I've got a solution to that. So what we're going to do is create the following variables. First, I want an empty item list. Okay, so I'm going to do item list, and we're going to create an empty list. Okay. Remember, we have a Boolean that tells us true or false whether there's liquid starlight there already. So what I'm going to do is called a choice variable. And what this does is it reads the Boolean, and if it's true, output the first slot, and if it's false, output the second slot, right? So what I'm going to say is if it's liquid starlight, then the output is the rock crystal and dust variable card. Otherwise, if it's not liquid starlight, the output is an empty list. Okay? And this is going to be the variable that we go with here. So if we pop this dude and these guys into the variable store and put this as my place item entities, you'll see because it's not currently liquid starlight, it's not outputting any items. And we can validate that like this. See how it's not outputting any items because it's not liquid starlight? So it's saying if it's liquid starlight, emit these 2 items. Otherwise, your emit list is empty. So don't emit any items into the world, right? Now, as soon as it turns into liquid starlight, it'll flip that variable and start spitting out the 2 items. Cool. Now, the other thing, though, that we want to do, okay, is we also want to check how many items already exist in the world. Because we only want to spit out 2. Because what's going to happen is, right, we're going to have this and this here, right? And then we're going to do this. And then we might put another couple in here, and it'll spit 2 more out, which would be bad, right? We don't want that to happen. So what we want to do is count how many items are currently in the world and only emit if it's less than 2, okay? So let's add that Boolean list thing and modify our Boolean. So we're going to take these 3 cards back. So here's your empty list. Here's your list of crystals, right? And I'm going to put these guys away for the time being because we don't super need them. Okay, cool. So here's your crystals. Here's your empty list. Here's your Boolean, right? What I'm going to do next is get a entity reader. Machine inventory fluid block. I think I need to teach you entity reader. I didn't teach you that one yet. That's an important one. Entity reader. We need you. We don't have any pork chops because of course we don't. We will have to get some. This can read information about entities in the world, specifically like item entities, right? So let's go find some pigs to help me with this process. Sorry, my little friend, but I need you for science. Cool. Okay. Entity reader. Thank you, sir. This will be able to tell us how many items are in the world. So what I'm going to do is this. Okay. So you're going to tell me item frame. So this is the list of entities in the world, right? So if I get that variable, boom, right? When I place this in the display, we'll see, for example, if I drop red alloy, you'll see red alloy wire. If I drop that, it's logic cable. And it's basically a list of all the entities in the world. However, what I want to do is get the count from that list. I want to know how many items in the world. So there should be a count whose input is list and his input 2 is any. What's the input 2? Count. The number of times the given element is found in the list? No. That's not what we want. List length is what we want. List output integer. Right, that's what we want, length. So we take this guy, length. This is what I want. Hold on. Length. Yes, this one. All right. So this guy outputs the number of entities, right, in the world. Cool. So if I put this card in here and we put this card in here, we should be seeing how many entities are in the world. Now, it should be how many item stacks, basically, because when they combine into a single stack, it's one entity. Okay? So that's okay. So we want 2 item stacks in the world. That should work. Yeah. So now what we want to do is take this card and we want to say get a Boolean if it's less than 2. Yes. So only output items if it's less than 2. That seems cool. So we want an integer of 2. Okay. And then we're going to want a Boolean less than 2. So we want to get the count of the number of items in the world. If it's less than 2, you should be true. Okay. So put these guys in here. So right now he's less than 2, right? So let's imagine that we're putting you and you in there. See how he's false now? Cool. So that's how we're going to stop emitting when we have both items in the world. Okay? Now remember, we set up this little list thing to go on the Boolean of if it's starlight. So now we have a Boolean to tell me if it's starlight, and we have a Boolean to tell me if it's less than 2. We want to combine those with an AND operator and basically say, if it's liquid starlight and there's less than 2 items in the world, that's the Boolean that we want to use to determine whether we should drop our items. Cool? So put these 2 guys in here. Okay. So now we're going to say, check this out. Okay. Liquid starlight. And there's less than 2. 1, 2. No longer allowed to have items. See how it turned to false as soon as those 2 went in there? How cool is that? So we're going to use that guy now for this choice card. Okay. So we're going to get our guy here. We're going to say choice. And we're going to say this Boolean is our choice card. Okay. So if there's liquid starlight and less than 2 item stacks in that spot, then go ahead and emit the rock crystal and stardust. Otherwise, emit nothing. Okay, and that's your new choice card. And this one can clear. We don't need him no more. Okay, so these guys can go into the variable store. You go into place item entities. Okay, so currently he's not allowed to place any item entities. If there's liquid starlight there and there's less than 2 slots, he's allowed to place rock crystals and stardust, right? So watch what happens as a result. If we keep 1 stardust and 1 rock crystal in here, he'll spit the items into the world. But he won't spit any more because he's only allowed to have 2 item stacks in the world. Cool? And now once those 2 item stacks are gone, he'll spit them out again. Now here's the deal. That liquid starlight will... it'll absorb the liquid starlight as soon as it converts it into a block space. So it won't drop any more items because there won't be any liquid starlight there anymore. Nifty? So now the next thing I want to do is make it so that we only keep 1 rock crystal and stardust in this inventory at all times. So to do that, I've been toying around with a couple different approaches, and I think I have one that'll work. So we want an item interface here, and we want an item exporter here with cables in between. Okay, but this needs to be on a different interface channel. Okay, because this guy's channel 0, which means, and this guy's channel 0. So this is giving access to the network on channel 0, and this is outputting channel 0. This is going to be channel 1, and this is also going to be channel 1 in a minute. So here what I want to do is create a list of items that are going to go into this interface at a specific time. Okay, so first off, I want to check if the inventory is empty, right? Right now it's empty, so I have an inventory reader here. If I put something in there, anything, it's not empty. See, inventory empty is false now. Okay, so when it's empty, we want to put 1 rock crystal and 1 stardust. Now remember, rock crystals have different attributes, so we need to have an empty NBT tag. We want to ignore the NBT. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let's see if I can do this, right? So we want item. We want an item card for a rock crystal. Okay. But then we also want the item card to be no NBT. So we want to ignore NBT. So I think that's this. Raw item equals no NBT item. Let's see. Output type. I want output type and item without NBT in it, maybe? Well, hold on. Actually, I think I can do something like this. Let's try it with just this, right? So there's your rock crystal. Let's get another item, stardust, and then we're going to get a list of items. Actually, I already have a list of items for that, don't I? I do. Let me borrow that list. Is that this? Rock crystal? Yeah. So what I'm going to do here is create another, and then we have an empty list as well, don't we? Yeah, an empty list. Cool. So what we're going to do is another choice guy. And we're going to say, if the inventory is empty, then those items. Otherwise, empty list. Okay? So we put these guys in here. We make this export the items list. What did I do wrong? Oh, right, I don't have a cable connecting here. That's what I did wrong. Hey, cool, he's trying to export the items. Nice. All right, neat. So we want you to be on channel 1, and we also want to say item transfer rate is 1. Check damage, false. Check NBT, false. And then that should be cool, right? So now if I put, hopefully that'll transfer 1 of each. So what I could do instead, let's try this. Where's my 2 item cards? These are my integers, these are my strings. Where's my 2 item cards? Do I not have them in here anymore? I have my list, but I don't think I have my item cards. All right, let's do them. Real quick, we're going to do an item card. I want a blank one. And then I want a rock crystal one. And then I want a stardust one, right? And we're going to do a couple contains. Or no, choice. And we're going to say the Boolean for inventory empty. If it's empty, then emit a rock crystal. Otherwise, emit an empty item. Okay. Yes. And if it's empty, emit a stardust. Otherwise, emit an empty item. Okay. So you guys can go in here. I don't know what this card is anymore. But these 2 are what we want. So I want another export. Okay. And you're going to go here with some cable hookups before I forget. Right? So your item export is going to be channel 1 with transfer rate 1. And I don't care if you check MBT because you're going to be the item export for Stardust. Item 52. That would be you. Okay. Cool. So you're just keeping Stardust in stock, and you will be export item that, right? But I want you to ignore damage and NBT. Cool. So if I put you guys in here, take you out for a sec. That should be working, I would think. That's the Stardust one. Oh, I know why. Hold on. This has to be channel 1. Nice. Okay, cool. All right, now the Stardust one goes here. So now if the inventory is empty, it puts both in, right? Boop, boop, refills. Haha, cool. Cool. How cool is that? How cool is that? Oh, that's neat. If the inventory is empty, it refills. That is cool. All right, so now what we should have happen, check this out, right? So we're gonna have this inventory with these items in it. When I place the liquid starlight in the world, it'll spit both items out and refill this inventory, and it won't spit any more out because there's 2 items here. Cool? All right, I like this. This is actually working pretty nicely. Pretty nicely. Okay. Now the only place this could fail is if we don't have anything in here, right? if we don't have any rock crystal, if we're missing one of the two items, it could fail, right? Because what we'll probably wind up with is like if we remove these two rock crystals and then we do this, now the system's stuck, kind of, right? Yeah. Now, if I wanted to, I could take this one step further and have the Boolean on this guy not only check for an empty inventory here, but also check to see if the list of items in here contains both a rock crystal and a stardust before letting the items export. I just kind of don't feel like doing that. So I think what I'll do is just make sure that anytime I'm going to do this, we just manually make sure that we've got something like that set up, right? So that anytime we transfer it, it happens like that. And then when it's done, we know that we've done a pretty good job. So I think that's the approach I'm going to take, right? So now we just do the liquid starlight here, and he does his thing. And he's not going to run again until we break that crystal. Cool. Okay. That's nifty. Now, the only other thing is to do is the world break guy, which I think we've got a world block importer, right? And what I have to do is figure out how to filter that, because that might be easier said than done. So let's just check this out real quick. And we're getting a little bit late in the episode, but I think if I pop you there, pick up all item blocks, pick up item block, pick up the item block in the world, pick up item blocks. MBT, pick up block. Now we're talking. It's a list and a predicate. So if we could specify a block with a specific metadata value of block celestial crystals stage 0. Okay, I might be able to create that in here. Block. So if I were to do block, block by name, input type item, output type block. Do you think that would work? No, that doesn't seem to be it. Input type entity, output type block, fluid, okay. The block of the fluid, the block from the given item. Yeah, that doesn't seem like it's going to work too well. Like this, actually no, that doesn't work either. Huh, interesting. Block by name, we could do it that way. Block output item stack. Yeah, that's different that's the opposite of what I want. Yeah, you're not an item, right? So we could do block by name, but then we have to modify it with metadata. So you know what? We have this block reader. Let's see what tile entity MBT is on here. Can we get one of those? I'm just curious, like, what it's telling me. Ticks existed, XYZ, forge capacities, nuclear craft, astral sorcery, tile, celestial cluster. Really? You're not telling me the... Because it is a tile entity, right? There's probably longer forge caps in there. Yeah, let's look at forge caps on that guy. So what we want is... Let's see. I think we want a string called forge caps. And then we want a MBT tag. This, this. So these guys in here and this in here. That might be it. Is that it? Really? I wonder if he uses plant age. He couldn't, right? I don't think so. Maybe? Let's just try it. So what I'm going to do is get the block of this, right? And then we're going to do plant age. And we'll just see. 0. Right, but the question is, once it grows, does it go to 1 or 2? That's the real question. See, now he's at age 1. He's still reporting 0. So you have to find a way to figure out when this is stage 4. So I think really the only way to do this properly, I don't think integrated dynamics can actually read this, which is funny, but I don't think it can. So what we want to do is do this. Stage 4 property, right, is the only one that we want. Now, will you emit a redstone signal on the top? Yeah, you do seem to be, right? So if I remove 4 and 0, okay, cool. So we want to remove these 3 so that 4 is the only property that's allowed, which is what it currently is. Bracket means it's the current one. So that's the only one we want to emit a redstone signal on, right? And then, yeah, I want you redstone on, redstone off, redstone pulse. Yeah, that's pretty much what I want. Okay. So if I do this, ta-da! He ate the celestial crystal. Nice. So now we go get another one of these dudes. And if we put the fluid there, he'll spit out the stuff. He'll turn into the block, and he won't eat the block unless there's a fluid there. Right? It's pretty cool. Let's see if that's right. Now, I believe that a fluid placer... Isn't there a ranged fluid placer? Auto placer, phantom placer. Isn't there a phantom fluid placer? Phantom placer, phantom liquid face, energy face, redstone face, phantom breaker. It might be trickier because that's an item placer rather than a fluid placer. Hey, that's cool. We could do this with a phantom breaker, though. Yeah, we could. We could. Well, the actually additions breaker only work... So he has deactivation mode. So when he's receiving a redstone signal... Okay. Gotcha. I could just not that, right? And we could do a phantom breaker. Because there's one more side that we need to interact with, and that would be placing the liquid. So that should probably be here. So what I'm thinking we do, right, is you're my fluid placer facing downwards, right? Okay. And you, sir, will be my phantom placer. Or phantom breaker. Auto breaker, we want you to be the phantom breaker. So can we get a phantom face? I should really automate these things by now, right? Oh good, I have most of what I need. This might be the last one I can make before I do some automations, but maybe. This episode's getting long, I know, but I really want to do this cool thing. So then you guys combine. There you go. Okay. Now the phantom breaker, redstone mode is deactivation, right? So basically we want a not gate. Where's the not gate? right? So he's not emitting a redstone signal right now. Now, if I allowed you to emit there, see, he would turn off, right? So basically, when you see stage 4, you'll emit a redstone signal, turning off this redstone signal, which right now, this is preventing it from breaking, right? So if we put a phantom connector here, we want this dude. Cool, right? So he's not breaking it because he's not 4 yet, right? So watch this. When we make you grow, where's my... And hopefully you don't actually need to see the stars in order to grow. I don't think he does, but we'll find out, right? Because he's currently stage 4. Let's see what happens here. Oh, good. He grew. He's at stage 1. I was hoping that he would be able to grow without a vision to the sky. It might be slowing him down, but, like, he's growing, so that's cool, right? Let's see if he'll grow all the way to 4. Come on, buddy. As long as he grows, I'm good. All right, so real quick there, I went and got a reservoir and filled up the liquid starlight a little bit. So that guy should be moving. I'm just waiting for him to fully grow, and that'll validate that everything works the way I want it to. So this is a pretty complex setup, to be fair, but I think it's neat, right? Like, I think it's a cool thing. It really demonstrates what integrated dynamics can do. And then again, like I said, we're going to do even more with integrated dynamics when we get to the auto growing, right, of crystals, trying to get them like perfect sized. I just really want this thing to hit stage 4 so that we can, you know, see that everything works the way I want it to. Because this should fully automate now. With this being here, and this having the stuff in there, and him being ready to go, once this hits stage 4, the scanner should cause this thing to break it, which should allow the liquid to place, which should allow the things to go, and then everything should be like super perfect, fully automated. Come on, stage 4, let's go, buddy. You can also see I snuck a little iron ore under there. Because if you do star metal ore, it makes it faster. Do we have an exchanger that would, like, quickly exchange it? I just want to try it. Because I feel like if I use the exchanging gadget, it might cause the crystal to pop off. It's not supposed to, but it might. And I don't want to risk it. Hey, look, stage 3. That's cool. Now we're getting somewhere. I think I'll just be patient, because we're, like, really close here. We are super close. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Stage 4. Let's go. As soon as you hit stage 4, we should see some magic happen. Come on. You can do it. I want to be recording when it happens because it'll be quick and all the things will happen at once. So... what I should test. Come on, buddy. Time in a bottle. Stage 4. Is it working? Should be. Did you place the stardust? Why do you not place stardust? You should be placing stardust, Chief. That's what I would expect to see happen. Might have to figure out why he failed to place Stardust, but aside from that, pretty good. All right, let's wrap up the episode here. I'll do a little bit of testing in a moment here and figure out why he might have been a little bit derpy. But for now, Darryl20 signing off. Hope you enjoyed the episode. That's fully automated, in theory. I'm just going to work on the exchanging bits here, and we'll come back next episode. All right, guys, take it easy.